everybody. Welcome. Welcome. My name is Professor Khalil Amani, and this is Khalil Amani's World 100. If this is your first time, I invite you to hit my subscriber bell. I know I only have a few subscribers, but at once upon a time, I had a big channel with 14,000 subs. We'll get back there, so come on for the ride, hit the subscriber button, and become a part of this wonderful YouTube channel where we do history and religion and hip-hop and writing and literature. I talk about my life and my world. I'm a 65-year-old man, and I want to share my life and my world, my knowledge, my wisdom, and my experiences with you. So welcome. All right. This is the beginning of our series on Jezebel. That's right. If you have been following me for the last few videos, I've been talking about Jezebel. I actually did a series on Jezebel a while back. I thought I had it on my computer, but I erased a lot of stuff, and I guess that got erased. But that's okay. We're going to do it all over again for you. Because if you think you know who Jezebel is, I guarantee you that most of you all don't know. The closest you know about Jezebel is her name is associated with a bad woman, a prostitute, a woman of ill repute, a lady of the night, a narcissistic woman, a bitch. You name it. If it's negative and vile and decrepit, that's what the name Jezebel summons up in your mind. But I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. I'm not one of those people that follow orthodoxy. You know what orthodoxy means? It means the shit that's already been set up and taught in church, in temple. The overview of how people look at shit. I'm a real truth seeker. And I have found that one of the people that history has much maligned is Mary Magdalene, yes. But another person in history, that religious history has much maligned, is Jezebel. It's Jezebel. Now I know there are those that think that I'm going behind them. What bullshit? I'm going behind their conversation. First of all, I've never heard their conversation. I know they might have posted a video that they pilfered and filched and stole from another YouTuber, a 39-minute video that they put on their channel and call it their content. But I ain't heard one sentence from the woman that claims that the Jezebel conversation is hers. I ain't heard one sentence. And neither have you. She calls going behind her, talking about Jezebel simply because she posted a 39-minute video from another YouTube source. She hasn't said one sentence about Jezebel. Yet she accuses me of going behind her. Whatever. She doesn't even have the mental fortitude or aptitude to speak on Jezebel. The best she can do is pilfer and filch and get her 5-finger discount on and steal and snatch another YouTuber's intellectual property, download it to her computer, upload it to YouTube, and say that's her content and I'm going behind her. She don't have one word to say about it. No commentary. Before, during, or after the video. She just posted a video. That's it. She don't know nothing about Jezebel to even put it on her channel. Be it as it may, a black YouTube woman got her theft on and she stole the video. Now she's accusing me of going behind her content, the video that she stole from another YouTuber that she doesn't even speak on. Got it. Talking about a Jezebel spirit. And since she sees that I'm talking about Jezebel, looking at my titles but not looking at my videos, she don't even know what I'm talking about. She claims that I'm teaching that there's a positive Jezebel spirit. I am not teaching that there is a positive Jezebel spirit.
It's about more than getting the job.
I am simply destroying the Jezebel spirit lie off the rippity rip. No. No. I am not teaching that there is a positive Jezebel spirit. But that's what you get, and that's what you say when you don't watch my videos. Totally misinterpreting what I'm saying. But those of you who are actually watching, you know what I'm talking about. Oh, you know what she says now? I wasn't talking about Jezebel in the Bible. I was talking about the Jezebel spirit. The hell? The Jezebel spirit is based on the historical personage Queen Jezebel in the Bible. You can't talk about the Jezebel spirit and remove Jezebel. The Jezebel spirit is named after Jezebel. So you were talking about Jezebel. The ideal that there's a Jezebel spirit comes from an ideal that there was a Jezebel person that was rebellious and narcissistic and bad. That's where it comes from. What a weirdo clapback. Weirdo clapback. I wasn't talking about Jezebel. I was talking about the Jezebel spirit. You can't disassociate Jezebel from the Jezebel spirit. If you want to disassociate the Jezebel spirit from Jezebel, name it something else. Call it the trout mouth spirit. Call it the child abuser spirit. Call it something else, but don't call it Jezebel. Just thought I'd start with that. I mean, the nerve of a YouTuber that has zero commentary, zero words about the subject of Jezebel, but they're mad at me because I can speak on it video after video after video. The nerve of a YouTuber that would simply post somebody else's intellectual work about Jezebel. And when someone like me speaks on it, I'm wrong. You're wrong for stealing someone's video, but I'm wrong for doing my own videos on Jezebel. The nerve. The nerve. The nerve. I mean, it's evident when a person puts a video out about a particular subject, yet they have nothing to say about the video, no commentary, no introduction, no outro, no perspective. What it says is they don't know shit about the subject that they just posted. I would never post a video about a subject and I ain't got shit to say about it. But that's what that means. And for the record, I'm never mentioning your name again. That's what I said. That's what I said. I'm never mentioning these folks' names again. I never said I wouldn't comment on something that they posted. And this particular woman, YouTuber, she posted a video about the Jezebel, whatever they call it, spirit, the Jezebel spirit. And I oppose the Jezebel spirit, and I'm disputing her word. And imagine that. This same black woman YouTuber says, every time I post something about religion, he tried to dispute my word. He tried to dispute my word. He tried to dispute my word. Well. As it relates to the Jezebel spirit, I haven't heard your word. I haven't heard your position. You know why I haven't heard your word? You know why I haven't heard your position? Because you have no position. Because you yourself have never spoken on the Jezebel spirit. You just put somebody's video on your channel. So how in the hell am I disputing your word when you've never put your words out there? I said, how in the hell am I going behind you and disputing your word when we have never heard you speak on the Jezebel spirit? Oh, I get it. Your word is the word of another YouTuber's video. Got it. Got it. Got it. Every time I post something, he want to dispute my word, dispute our word. I can dispute your word because your word ain't about Richard Nixon. And you know Richard Nixon wasn't shit. I can dispute your word because your word is in error. Error. Not error. Error. I can dispute your word because you have no words. Because you have no commentary on the videos that you put on your channel. That's how I can dispute it. And going beyond that. Going beyond that. I guess I can turn the music off now. Going beyond that. The biblical subjects that some of these YouTubers come up with, I've already explored, deconstructed, dealt with, wrote about, and published. And this is true for the so-called Jezebel. Yes, I did. 12 years ago. 12 years ago would have been the year 2013. Yes. 12 years ago. What were you doing 12 years ago? I'm talking to the woman that posted a video about the Jezebel spirit last week. What were you doing in 2013? What I'm proving is that, yes, sometimes YouTubers will present a subject, as in this case, present the subject, and I'll go, oh, Jezebel, oh, I talked about that 12 years ago. Let's talk about it now. Thank you for the idea. I don't shy away from the fact that other YouTubers and content creators sometimes give me ideas about subject matter. There's nothing wrong with that. We are all on YouTube dealing with hip hop and social commentary and the world around us. The world around us give us content and subject material. And so when a YouTuber comes on YouTube with the subject about Jezebel, especially a subject that is derogatory and negative and non-biblical and non-scriptural. When someone comes on like that and presents a video and I see it, there's a light bulb that goes off in my head. Bing bong! I said a light bulb goes off in my head and I go, wait a minute. Let's see what their position is. It only takes 30 seconds. I mean, the very title alone, the Jezebel spirit, that alone, I already know where they're going. Because I have investigated and studied this pseudo phenomenon known as the Jezebel spirit years and years ago. And so the title tells me that this person is misguided. Misguided. And then, sometimes they want to believe that I just all of a sudden decided to tackle a subject that they are talking about when I got the receipts. I can go in my computer into my Yahoo Mail and I can show you a timestamp of the very year and month and date and hour that I wrote that and put it out for public consumption. And that's what I want to do. Which destroys the narrative that I'm chasing or I'm running behind somebody else's YouTube content. It ain't your content, baby girl. It ain't your content. You had to go take it and steal it and filch it and pilfer it and get your 5-finger discount on. You had to go and snatch it from somewhere else. It ain't your content, baby girl. But when I see content like that, and when people try to create the narrative that I'm running behind them, that I'm only addressing their content because I have no content, that I got nothing else to talk about but watch them and their channel and try to speak behind them when they haven't even spoken themselves. They've only posted a video, but they ain't doing no speaking. But when you hear that kind of commentary, I say, as Jay-Z would say, men lie, women lie, but numbers don't. Numbers don't lie. In other words, I can go and show you 12 years ago where I sat down at my computer and wrote about the very woman that you are lying on today. Let me just show you. This is how you kill the narrative. This is my Yahoo Mail. I sent this to DJ K-Slay, which is Street Sweeper ENT at AOL.com on Monday, February 18, 2013. What is the name of the article? Jezebel, the first ride or die chick. This is called a receipt, and this is called a timestamp. And this article was actually published in DJ K. Slay's Straight Stuntin Magazine. May DJ K. Slay rest in peace. You see it? You see it? 2013, and the year is 2025. That would have been 12 years ago. 12 years ago, I wrote this article, Jezebel, the first ride or die chick, by Khalil Amani. You see? There's the article. That took hours to write and compose. So I do this. And as it says down here, Khalil Amani writes for DJ K. Slay's Straight Stuntin Magazine. Amani also writes for Hood Grown, Maybach, Sex Magazines, blase, blase. See, I really have commentary. On the subject of Jezebel. And so, on Monday, February 18th, 2013, at 4:57 p.m., I sent this article 12 years ago about Jezebel to DJ K. Slay for publication in Straight Stuntin Magazine. Receipt. And so, when they tried to create a narrative, that I'm speaking behind them, they are in error. The most they can say, and I will admit and I will concede, is that their video sparked me to revisit what I talked about, especially in light of the fact that their video is a goddamn lie. Now here's the thing. We can have different positions and perspectives on biblical characters. I don't got no problem with that. But when you are just outright lying on a historical person like Jezebel, I have to take you to task. Or as you say, dispute your word. Or as your friend says, I dispute your word. But I dispute your word with scholarship and knowledge. Something you can't do. And so that is my introduction to deal with that. We are about to do a whole series now. The person that sparked my interest in revisiting and rehashing the story of Jezebel was that woman. I don't deny that. I don't deny that a black YouTuber woman put a fake, phony, pseudo video about Jezebel and the so-called Jezebel spirit. And here's the thing, when she says, I wasn't talking about Jezebel, I'm talking about the Jezebel spirit. I wasn't talking about Jezebel, I was talking about the Jezebel spirit. You know what that tells me? It tells me clearly she didn't even watch her own video. She didn't watch her own video. You know why she didn't watch her own video? Because in that same video that she stole, the moderator, the narrator of that video, he mentions the biblical Jezebel. I should pull that up. Clearly, she hasn't watched her own video. I don't have it pulled up, but let me just, if I just pull up that little clip of the moderator, the narrator, talking about the biblical Jezebel as he begins to talk about the Jezebel spirit. Let me see if I can just find it real quick. That would be interesting to listen. We'll go, uh-oh, that's not what I want. No, get out of there. I mean, her justification was mad crazy. I wasn't talking about Jezebel. I'm talking about the Jezebel spirit. Clearly, she hasn't even listened to the very video that she put on her channel. Okay, so let me just show it. Here's the video. She put it on several channels. This is one of their bullshit channels called the Pizzy and Gwizzy Show Fair Use. There it is right there. Discerning the Jezebel Spirit Narcissism. This is one of their channels, you know. Him and her, you know. There she is. Yeah, what a soul. Now, let's just do this real quick. Because she just recently said that she didn't mean, basically she didn't mean no harm to the historical personage of Jezebel. She wasn't talking about the Jezebel. She talking about the Jezebel spirit, as though you can disconnect them and, you know, they're not related. So let's go to her video, and let me turn the volume up. And this is all off the cuff, so let me just see if I can find, that part. I want you to hear the narrator mention the historical. Let's just listen to a little bit of it. This is the video.
Discerning the Jezebel spirit.
Discerning the Jezebel spirit. Let's go. Come on. Let's get to it.
Individually, and has also attained positions of power within churches. In the secular world, these people are often thought to suffer from narcissistic.
Let's go back here. Okay, it opens up talking about Jezebel. Now let's just listen here.
Jezebel's spirit is born out of witchcraft and rebellion, and is one of the most common spirits in operation today. It is a powerful enemy of the body of Christ, the church. It operates freely on even sincere believers whose hearts are for God.
I want to get to the
person controlled by the Jezebel spirit is a life of chaos, confusion, instability, broken relationships, and
all right, let's go.
While Jezebel's belief system is incorrect, they are very firmly held beliefs.
Here it goes. They're talking about the physical, historical Jezebel.
Instability, broken relationships, and destruction. Every person that ever came into close contact with it has seen aggressive attempts to divide their relationships with their loved ones. While Jezebel's belief system is incorrect, they are very firmly held beliefs. Jezebels are usually people of deep convictions. As mentioned, controlled by the Jezebels is self-worship. The clear battle with the Jezebel spirit is over people. In the church, that spirit desires to rule out of fear of her. She is ready for war. Remember.
Oh, this is such bullshit.
Like a shark.
I don't have it queued up, but let me see. Let me just check here real quick. I don't have it queued up, so I'm gonna leave it there. But trust me, I watched the 39-minute video, and they talk about the real Jezebel in that video. I just don't have time. I don't have time to queue it up. Y'all can go watch it. If you go watch it, you'll see they actually mention and talk about the historical Jezebel. Okay, I should have had it queued up, but okay. As it is, I don't have it queued up, and I'm not gonna waste a lot of time proving. It's a small point, but the point being that you can't disassociate Jezebel, the historical person, from the Jezebel spirit that it's named after. You can't do that. But that's her argument now. Now that I have crushed, now that I have decimated the ideal of a Jezebel spirit, her only defense, having not watched my work, is to say, I wasn't talking about the Jezebel in the Bible. I'm talking about the Jezebel spirit. And again, if you go and watch her 39-minute video, you'll clearly see they make mention, they go back, and they talk about the biblical Jezebel. I just don't have time to go find it because I was thinking off the dome. But let's move on. Let's move on. And so this is the introduction. And so what I have proven to you in the last 30 minutes is that I don't just jump on every wind and doctrine. That I don't just, chase people's stuff because I got nothing on my own. No. I don't care who it was as a YouTuber. If I catch it, if I see it, and I believe that it's in error, as the Jezebel spirit is way, way, way off in error, I can speak on it. And not only am I going to speak on it, it doesn't matter if you're a friend or foe, friend or enemy. I can show you the receipts that I'm not no fly-by-night Bible teacher. That I got years of commentary on pretty much everything ever written in the Bible. I got something about it. It's not my fault that this person came in contact with me through another source, and now I'm on her radar and she's on my radar. Come correct, and I won't have to talk to you. But when you come with the bullshit lies on this beautiful African woman, I'm going to step in, I'm going to straighten your ass out. And you can tell the two people that listen to you that I'm chasing your conversation and that I'm disputing your word. Certainly I am disputing your word, but chasing your conversation, no, I am not. I'm the one with the backstory. I'm the one with the men lie, women lie, but numbers don't lie. Receipts to show you that I talked about this 12 years ago. Not to mention, when I had my 14,000 subscriber channel, I had a whole series. I did like 8, 9, 10 hours on Jezebel. I don't have it anymore. So we're starting anew and afresh. You're just mad that you can't do what I do. You're just mad that whatever Bible subject you want to tackle, you can't tackle it. You just have to go and steal someone's video and put it on your channel and call it your content. You're just mad that I can speak wonderfully and cogently and deconstructively about subjects that you call yourself trying to tackle. You're just mad that you can't. And the nigga you sit beside, he can't either. All right. Let's move away from that. Let's change lanes and switch gears. for the next 50 minutes. This is the introduction to Queen Jezebel. And so, as we all know, when we hear the phrase Jezebel, we think of negativity, we think of whoredom, we think of prostitution, we think of sleazy and skanky and skeezer, low-life women, narcissistic women, women that act like they men, bossy women. The term Jezebel has always been associated for the last 2,700 years. 700 years before Christ, before the birth of Jesus, that the ancient Israelites began to weave a negative web about this woman, Jezebel. She's not the only woman that has been drugged through the mud of history. Mary Magdalene and many others have been drugged through the mud of history. But let's talk about this woman, Jezebel. You know, they say there's 3 sides to a story. Your side, my side, and the truth, which they say lies somewhere in the middle. But what the Bible does is this. Damn, I didn't even bring my Bible in. Hold on a minute. I was doing some research. And reading in my Bible last night. I mean, I got 10 Bibles, but the Bible I like to read, it's in the living room. I'll be right back. I left my Bible in the living room. I need my Bible. All right, here I come. Here I come. Left my Bible in the living room. All right. I got about 10 Bibles, but this is my favorite Bible. It's King James. It's just the words are big, and I just like using it. I like using it. So let's put this right here. Let's put this right there. All right, we got our Bible now. Okay, now let's talk a little bit. We're talking about this woman, Jezebel. Now, the crime of the Bible is this. The crime of the Bible is that it doesn't give the whole story or picture. The crime of the Bible is that it is a one-sided worldview of events. The crime of the Bible is that when it talks about other people, the crime of the Bible is when it talks about other people, other nations and ethnicities and nationalities. It never allows us to understand these other nationalities and ethnicities and tongues and nations from their point of view. You understand what I'm saying? Every nation that is spoken about in the Bible is spoken about from the vantage point and the worldview and through the lens of the Jews, of the Hebrews, of the Israelites. And that's the travesty and crime of the Bible. They don't allow the other nations to have a say-so in their narrative. It's tragic. And so when you read the Bible and you read these stories about the Canaanites and the Jebusites and the Egyptians and other folks, it's all being told through the lens of the Jewish eye, of the Israelite eye. And so the Bible, as it turns out, is nothing more but an ethnocentric piece of religious literature. Ethnocentric means the words are centered around the Jewish ethnicity. And so you come away with a, when you read the Bible, you come away with a very biased view. Let me give you an example. It's like me going to Mexico, going to China, going to Russia, going to another country and talking about those people and their religious views and their social mores and the way they live without allowing them to talk for themselves. I come back to America from China, from Mexico, or from Russia, and I start writing about those people without allowing them to say, no, let me explain why we say this, why we worship like this, why we dress like this. That would be fair. Allow the culture, allow the religion, allow the ethnicity that you are talking about to speak for themselves. And when we do that, we get a 180-degree viewpoint. A 180. It's like looking at the back of my head when you let the Canaanites speak for themselves. When you let the Phoenicians speak for themselves. A classic example of the bastardization of a people's culture is this. We read the word cult prostitution or prostitution all throughout the Old Testament, where you have a Jewish, a Hebrew, and Israelite people talking about the religious practices of the Canaanites and others, and using derogatory and defaming and demeaning words like prostitution. When in essence and in reality, if you ask the Canaanites about what they do in their own religious temples, they would never call it prostitution. They would call it worship of the goddess through sex as ritual and worship. The Bible does not allow the Jews, the Hebrews, and the Israelites, and later Christians, they don't allow other people to speak for themselves. They look at the practices of non-Israelite religions and they name it shit like heathenism and paganism and cultic prostitution. Those are all biblical references. But when you leave the Bible, you will never find in the extra biblical narratives, in the narratives that are not associated with the Bible, you won't find words like cult and temple prostitute. You will read about the Quidishtu, that the Bible labels as female prostitutes. But in their own language, the so-called female prostitutes of the Bible, in their own language, they are known as the Quidishtu. And the Quidishtu is defined as sacred women, holy women, set apart women. Now you tell me, if that ain't a different understanding from the Jewish mind. The Jewish mind calls the Canaanite priestesses temple prostitutes. But the Canaanites call themselves set aside and holy women, sanctified women. How come the Bible doesn't tell you that? Because the Bible and the Jewish race and the Israelite people and the Hebrew nation, they want to prop themselves up as a beautiful people, damn near sinless. They want to prop themselves up as having the correct understanding of the deity. They want to prop themselves up as having a direct phone line with Yahweh, with Jehovah, with Yahweh, with Yahuwah, with Yahweh. They want to prop themselves up like God is only talking to them and them alone. And so all other nations that have a God concept, whether it be right or wrong, they have a God consciousness. The Canaanites had a God consciousness. The Egyptians had a God consciousness, whether right or wrong. You cannot judge a nation's God consciousness. You cannot judge a nation's understanding on their way to the divinity. And so the Bible, when we talk about Jezebel, the Bible gives you damn near zero information about Jezebel's upbringing and understanding of God, of the divinity. And that is the crime of the Bible. It is a gross, gross crime of those that wrote the Hebrew Bible, aka the Old Testament. And so, the Bible simply introduces her and where she came from without telling us anything about her background and where she grew up and what she believed in. Don't you think that should be important? I think it is. I think it's very important. And we as Christians and Hebrews and Israelites, we are too religiously lazy. We are too biblically and religiously lazy to investigate the childhood and the upbringing and those social mores of a woman that would become the queen of Israel who was not an Israelite herself. That's what we're going to do here. We're going to be reading from the Bible. But if you don't have the backstory, if you don't have Jezebel's backstory, then you already have been indoctrinated and have a misunderstanding. Oh, Jezebel was a ride or die chick. She was a ride or die chick. But what I want you to do is to walk with me as we go back in time to the year 800 BCE, during the reign and life of Jezebel. I said the Bible does a great disservice when it introduces her, but it does enough to give us a clue about who she was, where she came from, what her religious beliefs were. And we get that by way of knowing that she was the daughter of a king and a queen. And so the Bible introduces her. Let's start out with how the Bible introduces Jezebel. That'll be 1 Kings chapter 16. It starts right here. Ahab marries Jezebel. And it came to pass, as if it had been a light thing for him meaning Ahab, to walk in the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, that he, meaning Ahab, Ahab, took to wife Jezebel, the daughter of Ethbaal, king of the Zidonians, and went and served Baal and worshipped him. So this is what we are told. And this is how Jezebel is introduced. And we realize that Jezebel was royalty because Jezebel was the daughter of Ethbaal, king of the Zidonians. And if her daddy was a king, that would make Jezebel a princess. A princess. A princess. Let's stop there. What does it mean to be a princess? I've talked about this, but let's talk about it. My God, did somebody flip the script or no? 2,700 years ago, there was a child born of royalty named Jezebel. Yet, 2,700 years later, in the year 2025, Jezebel's name has become synonymous with slut and whore and prostitute and narcissism and bad woman, evil woman. How did that happen? 2,700 years ago, 2,700 years ago, a child was born of Phoenician lineage. Jezebel was not a Jew. Jezebel was not a Hebrew. Jezebel was not an Israelite. Jezebel was a Phoenician that had strong links to Sumeria. You see, the Bible gives us just enough hints and just enough clues to go back. We know her daddy was the king of the Zidonians. Now all we got to do is go do our research on the Zidonians and we'll know who they were as a people. The Bible is not going to give you a comprehensive look at these different nations that they fucking with. But we know enough. Thank you, Bible, for telling us that Jezebel was born of royal heritage. That Jezebel, as I said before, Jezebel never ate a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Jezebel never had to cook top ramen noodles. Jezebel never had meal cramps because she was hungry. Jezebel never had to go to the store with food stamps, EBT cards. Jezebel wasn't on government assistance and welfare. The shit that many of you might have been on. In fact, Jezebel never punched a time clock. Jezebel never went to a 9 to 5. Jezebel never had to work for the man. Because Jezebel was a princess, born into royalty, lived in the White House, the big house, a mansion, a palace. Jezebel was rich. Her parents were rich. When Jezebel had to defecate, have a bowel movement, a boo-boo, or a shit, she had young maidens that had the softest of tapestry that would wipe her behind. And then she had maidens that would take water and perform the act of being a bidet. Some of you don't know what a bidet is. If you go to a nice hotel, if you go to a 4 or 5-star hotel, when you go in the bathroom, there will be a little thing next to the toilet that looks like a drinking fountain. Don't drink out of it. It's to put your booty hole on and turn it on, and the water shoots up your booty hole after you take a bowel movement and cleans you out. It's called a bidet. 2,700 years ago, Jezebel was raised in the palace where she had human bidets. Young maidens with washcloths and water that acted as a bidet. Wiped her booty when she finished pooping. When she reached puberty and had her menses, her menstrual cycle, her period, she had young maidens that would change the rag that was down there. Old school Kotex and tampons. She was rich. She was born with the silver spoon in her mouth. She wanted for nothing. She didn't go to public school. Private tutors came to the palace and learned her and taught her the rudiments of reading, writing, and arithmetic. She was educated far and above the general populace. Well versed in the religions of the Phoenicians, well versed in world religion and world history. Well versed, educated. You could say she got a bachelor's and master's under the tutelage of her king and queen, mother and father, that made sure she was well educated. She was no dumb chick. She wasn't a high school dropout. She could read and write, and she knew how to count, and she knew numbers. This is what we get when we investigate the person known as Jezebel. And this is what your Bible won't teach you. Your preacher won't teach you. Your Christian teacher or pastor or reverend Sunday school, they're not going to go into it like this. The Hebrew Israelites, the so-called Israelites, whether they're ISUPK, IUIC, Sakari, the Israel of God, the Yahwehs, whatever Hebrew Israelite group you want to talk about. Rogue Israelite teachers on YouTube, they're not going to give you the background about this person. They're going to let you stand on what you know about Jezebel, you know, the bad stuff. The bad stuff. But what we are learning is that Jezebel wasn't no Rudy Poot ass female. She wasn't no commoner. She wasn't part of the laity. She wasn't part of the common folks. She looked down from her palace window at the commoners. What we are finding out is that Jezebel wasn't just no any piece of pussy. That was royal punani, royal vagina, that only a precious 0.00001% of men might have a chance to smell and taste. I want you to sit down on this and understand when we get to talking about Jezebel, where she comes from, her background. And she, not only was she had brains, she was beautiful. She was beautiful. And she was reared and raised that one day she would either be a queen among the Phoenicians. That's what her mother and father were raising her to do. To take over the throne, to sit on the throne of Phoenicia. They had no idea that a king from another country would spy her out and seek to marry her. That's not what her mother and father raised her and reared her for. She was being raised and reared that one day when the king, her daddy, would die, and their queen, her mother, would die, she would be next in line on the throne of the Phoenicians. That was the goal, to make sure she was properly prepared to ascend to the throne of Phoenicia. She was raised in royalty. And we read from great historians like Flavius Josephus and other commentators of the time that she was the great aunt of the Queen of Carthage, Ditto. Her name was Ditto. The Queen of Carthage. Carthage is North Africa. That Jezebel was the great aunt of the Queen of Carthage, Africa. Which means she had a pedigree, a bloodline of royalty, which means that she had African blood and ancestry running through her Phoenician veins. This is what we know. This is what we know. In my next video, I will go into Josephus and show you her royal bloodline to Africa. Put that right there so I remember for the next video. But this is what we know. There's no getting around the fact that Jezebel was royalty. She was as royal as the Queen of England. She was as royal as Michelle Obama. She was royal as Princess Di. She was as royal as Nefertiti. She was as royal as any queen that sat on any throne. She was as royal as Margaret Thatcher. She was super royalty. I gotta stress that in light of what we think about her today. 99 out of 100 men could never sniff her old used underwear. 99 out of 100 men could never even speak to her. She was up there. High society. She was at the top of the caste system. High society. She was raised with maids and maidens and eunuchs, men with no dicks, around her. She was raised with bodyguards. She couldn't go nowhere without her bodyguards and her eunuchs. She had an entourage of 100 or so people when she left the palace to go wherever she was going. They threw flowers at her feet when she walked, petals and flowers. They bowed down in her presence and dared not look her in the eyes. She was royalty. She was royalty. She was royalty. Yet the best we get from 1 Kings 16 is that she wifed that a Hebrew, that an Israelite king, a Jew boy king named Ahab wifed her. Ahab marries Jezebel, and it came to pass, as if it had been a light thing for him to walk in the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, that he, Ahab, took to wife Jezebel, the daughter of Esbaal, king of the Zidonians. That's all we get. But if you know what I know, that's all we need. The fact that the Bible tells us that Jezebel was the daughter of a king, that's all we need. That's all we need to understand that she was a blue blood, as they say. That she was fucking royalty. That's all we need. Now the rest, we're going to go into books. As we go along here, we're going to go into books. We're going to look at the Oxford Annotated Bible on Jezebel. We're going to look at the Interpreter's Dictionary of the Bible on Jezebel. We're going to go to Erdman's Bible Dictionary on Jezebel. Oh yeah, we do books over here. We don't just steal other YouTubers' videos about a subject and put it on our channel and say that that's our content. That's what lazy people do that don't even know about the subject that they're talking about. But we're going to go into the books on part 2. Yes, we are. I said lazy people who think they are interested in these subjects, all they do is go over and steal people's videos and call it their content. And so as I end on this part 1, I want you to have a good understanding that Jezebel was a royal ass woman. Straight royalty. Straight royalty. See, the Bible doesn't, it gives it to us, but don't give it to us. The Bible glosses over her beautiful and not humble, but her royal beginnings. The Bible glosses over that shit. Oh, yeah. Oh, by the way, yeah, Jezebel, yeah, Jezebel. Oh, yeah, her daddy was a king. Oh, her daddy was a king, yeah. Oh. When the Bible tells us that her father was the king of the Sidonians, that's a hold up moment. That's a stop. That's a pause moment. That's a wait a minute moment. But most of you all, you read about Jezebel, and it never occurs to you, let's stop and talk about this princess and how she was raised with a silver spoon in her mouth, and how she wanted for nothing, and how she could have any man she wanted. When you're a princess, and when your daddy is the king, and your mother is the queen, you have your pick of the litter of menfolk that you might want to marry and have children with. That's right. Now the Bible also does not tell us how this Israelite, this Hebrew, this Jew named Ahab, who was the king of northern Israel, how he even found this Phoenician princess. There is no conversation about the first date, about the first sighting, about the marriage. It glosses over very important shit. There's no information, which means that the Bible is not a comprehensive historical look at all that shit. But I want you to think about this as we close. King Ahab, he was the king of northern Israel. He had his pick of the litter of women, of prospective wives that would be his queen. Of all of the thousands, yea, millions of Israelite women he could have wifed, he couldn't find one woman among his own people that stirred his loins to the point of saying, I got to marry her. I am in love with her. I'm gonna wife this bitch. Think about that. What was going on among Israelite women that King Ahab had to step out and get his interracial dating, his interracial love, his interracial marriage on? You mean to tell me of the thousands, yea, millions of Israelite women available from the age of 12 to 21? Because they was taking wives when they were like 10, 11, 12 years old back in those days. Of the many fair maidens of Israel, young, perky-breasted, heart-shaped ass 13 and 14-year-old girls, supple breasts that these men were into, among the Israelite women and the Israelite young maidens and the Israelite girls. You mean King Ahab couldn't find not one? But it was a interloper, a Phoenician, a goddess worshiper, a sodomite worshiper, a woman who believed in ritualized and ritualistic sex. That's who he chose. A woman that didn't give a fuck about Yahweh, Jehovah, Yahuwah, Yahweh, Yahweh, and Yahweh. That's who he chose to wife up. He couldn't find one Israelite woman who believed in the great I am that I am, the God of Mount Sinai. He couldn't find one woman among his own people that stirred his loins so much so that he wanted to make that woman his wife. He had to go outside of the Israelite women population. Let that sink in your heads of how powerful, how brilliant, and how beautiful Jezebel must have been. She had to be a looker. She had to be a dime piece. She had to have 36, 24, 36. What a winning hand. She's a brick house. Imagine an Israelite king with thousands and millions of women at his disposal, shunning all of them for a Phoenician princess. You know, the scholar, the historian Israel Finkelstein, or Finkelstein, I said the historian Israel Finkelstein said that the marriage between King Ahab and Princess Jezebel, he said it was a brilliant stroke of international diplomacy. That's what he called it. That's what he called it. And so Ahab, he would give all of the Israelite women the Heisman, go over there. Because he wanted this Phoenician woman. He wanted a woman to be his wife that was a goddess worshiper. You already, if you're smart, you already know that's a landmine. You already know the shit's about to hit the fan. I said King Ahab, he did not marry a one God worshiper, a monotheistic mindset. He did not marry a woman that believed in the God of Israel. He married a woman that believed in Asherah, aka Asheroth, aka Ishtar, aka Inanna, aka Isis. That's who he married. Time. Oh. You could see, if you're smart, that was a train wreck about to happen. I said, the king of Israel, he married this royal princess who believed in the goddess Ishtar, who was known in Jeremiah chapter 7 and Jeremiah chapter 44 as the queen of heaven, that Judah and many of the Israelites would worship themselves. How you like them apples? That King Ahab would marry a woman that believed in the Baal religions. Baal was part of the Sodomite cults. It's a train wreck waiting to happen. And that's what we're going to read about, and why this woman, Jezebel, her name was dragged through the mud of history. It was bound and determined to happen. A foreigner, an interloper, a non-Jew with many God sensibilities joining on to the Yahweh cults, to the Israelite people, you already know a lot of motherfuckers were going to start hating. And we know they hated because today, Queen Princess Jezebel, who became Queen Jezebel, she has come out in history, in religious history, as a bad, negative person and a negative spirit. But if you follow this series, I'm going to lay it all out for you. I'm going to clean it up and let you see the other side, the non-biblical side, the side that the Bible refuses to allow you, the reader, to understand. So come back for part 2. It's going to be a fun series. I love doing this stuff. I'm Professor Khalil Amani, and I'm well versed in biblical teachings and history. Come back and join me. I love you all for a better world. Peace.